Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a truly classic folktale that is absolutely packed with danger, magic, and honestly, a surprisingly powerful underlying lesson. We're talking about the story of Snow White and Rose Red. We've got cursed bears, evil magical dwarves, and sudden, crazy transformations, so let's just jump right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture the scene for a second. You have these two sisters, Snow White and Rose Red, and they're living completely isolated out in the deep forest. It is the dead of winter. It's literally freezing outside. And suddenly, out of nowhere, there's a heavy knock at the door. They open it up, and standing right there in the freezing cold is a massive black bear. I mean, what would you do? I think it's safe to say most of us would experience sheer, unadulterated terror in that moment. I'd probably barricade the door and hide under the nearest bed. And the story tells us the sisters were understandably terrified. But then the whole situation takes this incredibly unexpected turn. Because the bear doesn't attack them. Actually, scratch that, it's the exact opposite. Shivering in the bitter cold, he delivers this desperate plea, saying, "I will not harm you. It is very cold outside. Please let me stay here for the night." The contrast here is just staggering. You have this ultimate symbol of forest danger, a massive wild bear, delivering this incredibly polite, vulnerable, and desperate plea for shelter. He isn't acting like a threat at all. He's just a freezing wanderer begging for a little bit of mercy. And this right here is where the story pivots on a totally crucial decision. The sisters feel incredibly sorry for him. Their empathy just completely overrides their initial terror. They make the active, conscious choice to let this giant wild animal into their home, and they let him stay right by the fireplace. The black bear, finally safe and warm, quickly falls fast asleep. It's this really beautiful moment of compassion, you know? They've weathered the night, and everyone is safe. But as we know with folktales, the peace never ever lasts for long. Let's move to the next morning and see how this builds, because that peaceful cabin turns into absolute mayhem practically overnight. First, the sisters wake up, step outside, and immediately discover a pile of gold jewelry. Second, they suffer a completely unprovoked surprise attack by an evil dwarf. And third, they have to rely on their totally unexpected house guest, the bear, for a rescue. The whiplash from a quiet, snowy morning to a full-blown magical attack is just wild. So how exactly does this trap get sprung? Well, the sisters wake up. They open their front door, and sitting right out in the open is this massive, alluring pile of gold jewelry. So naturally, they reach out to grab it. But the exact second they do, an evil dwarf emerges directly out of the gold itself. It was a total magical ambush. Instantly, the dwarf goes on the offensive and attacks Snow White and Rose Red. Caught completely off guard by this vicious little magical entity, the sisters scream in absolute fear. But wait, remember who is still sleeping by the fireplace. Hearing their terrified screams, the black bear quickly wakes up and just charges onto the scene. The timing is absolutely perfect. The beast they showed mercy to the night before is suddenly this unstoppable, towering protector. He barrels into the fray with sheer speed and raw power, standing right between the highly vulnerable sisters and their attacker, which leads to the ultimate defeat of the evil dwarf. They are saved from the ambush entirely because the bear was there to rescue them. And this brilliantly illustrates what is literally the most spectacular moment of the entire story. The exact second the dwarf is taken down, a magical illusion just shatters. The shivering, terrifying bear instantly transforms into a handsome, victorious prince. He goes from being a frightened animal desperate for basic shelter to this royal figure who is incredibly grateful. The sisters, naturally, are completely blown away by this magical revelation happening right on their doorstep. The prince quickly breaks down the mechanics of his curse for them. He says, "This evil dwarf turned me into a bear through magic. Today, because of you, I was able to defeat him and return as a prince. Thank you very much, Snow White and Rose Red." He was trapped in that animal form by the dwarf's curse. But notice how he highlights something absolutely vital. Because of you. Because the sisters didn't just slam the door on a scary bear the night before, he was in the exact right place at the exact right time to defeat his tormentor and break the spell. Their kindness literally set the stage for his salvation. When you really look at it, the structural logic of this folktale is just a perfect chain reaction of cause and effect. It's like a giant line of dominoes. It all starts on that winter night where shelter is given purely out of empathy. That leads directly to the next morning, where the sisters are vulnerable when the dwarf attacks. But because the bear is present, we get the rescue, where the dwarf is defeated. And finally, because the dwarf is defeated, the magic is broken, and the bear transforms. Every single domino falls perfectly into place, and it all originates from that one single choice to open the door and show compassion. Now that he's free from the curse, the prince is deeply indebted to them, and he recognizes the harsh reality of their living situation out in the woods. He tells them, "I don't want to let you stay in the forest anymore. There are many dangers here. I will take you to the palace." I mean, he's seen firsthand the wild beasts, he literally was one, and the magical evil dwarves lurking around. He wants to ensure their permanent safety. The sisters are, of course, overjoyed. They thank the prince, and all three of them leave the dark woods behind to go live happily together in the safety of the royal palace. So, the crucial point we take away from all this is simple but incredibly powerful. Good deeds get good rewards. Snow White and Rose Red didn't let the bear in because they thought he was a prince. There's no way they could have known there was a massive reward waiting for them. They did it simply because it was the right, compassionate thing to do. They extended a good deed to a shivering creature, and the universe, or the narrative, rewarded them by saving their lives from a dwarf and elevating them to live in a palace. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to ponder today. The next time someone, or something, needs shelter from the cold, or just needs a little bit of unexpected empathy in your everyday life, how are you going to respond? Will you let fear close the door, or will you offer a warm place by the fire? Remember, your prince might just be standing there in disguise, waiting for a little bit of kindness to break the spell. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep looking for the magic in those everyday good deeds.